Hayes will kick this one from the left hash, as the intended returners back deep, stand at about their own 11-yard line. Kickoff will go to the right side for Rockford, and that'll be Campos on the return from about his own 14-yard line as he tries to get to the edge outside. He gets just ahead of the 30, and a penalty flag comes out, as getting the tackle there for the Cougars was Chauncey Motley, number 40. We'll see what the flag is, though. As a face mask penalty goes against the Cougars as the tackle was being made. So that'll give Rockford a bonus 15 yards after the fact. So that'll put them right at about the 45-yard line on their own side of the field. So that is where Delano Mack, the 6', 250-pound sophomore, leads his offense back out. As in the shotgun formation, he throws to his left, and it is caught for a moment, but then dropped on the turf. That's once again, he's looking for the freshman in number 81, Joey Owens. 6'2" freshman from Ottawa, Illinois, as mentioned. So brings up 2nd and 10.
Second down from the 45.
We have just under 10 minutes to play in this first quarter of action. Thanks for joining us here on the Concordia Cougars Network. I'm Ryan Fay with you here on today's call from Concordia Stadium here in River Forest, Illinois. 2 wide receivers each side now, as getting it on the direct snap here. We saw this play happen on their first drive, and getting a couple yards there was the sophomore wide receiver off the direct snap, and Brandon Houseleden, the sophomore from the state of Idaho, as he gained about 3 to bring up 3rd down, with the ball right near midfield at the, say, 48.5-yard line in this case. 3 wide receivers now line up to the near right, 1 out to the far left. Manning, the running back, at the left hip of Mack, and he's going to get it on the draw, and he is going to dive forward ahead of the 45, and it looks like there will be enough for a Regents first down, and it is.
By number 9, Thaddeus Daniel Jr. First down for Rockford.
For Rockford, so far through their first drive and a half, we'll say, they've been stuck in some 3rd and rather long situations, but they've been quickly able to get out of it. As this throw to the left on first down is to Owens again, but he's met right away, maybe loses a yard on it, as making the tackle there initially was Caleb Casey, the junior. Lost about a yard to bring up 2nd down, ball at the Concordia 45.
Pass complete, but a loss of 1 on the play. Casey and Daniel on the stop. 2nd and 11.
So now 2 wide receivers right. Manning at the right hip of Mack. As the man goes in motion, and Manning's going to get the handoff as he's looking for some blockers ahead, and he is nowhere to go. Gains a couple, brings up 3rd down and 9.
Brought down after a short gain.
That left side of this D-line for the Cougars, led, as we mentioned, by Gustavo Alba, the sophomore, has had a very nice start to their 2 times being out there now defensively here in this quarter.
9.
So 3rd down and 9 at the Concordia 43. 3 wide receivers right as the Cougars look to show blitz. 1 receiver out to the far left, that's Owens. That's been the early favorite for the quarterback in Mack. As Mack takes a snap, pressure is coming. He's going to look for Owens, and a flag comes out as Owens got tangled up there. As in coverage trying to stay with him was Demetrius Rufus, the junior from North Lauderdale, Florida. And this one will likely push this drive deeper into Cougars territory. As you kind of saw Owens get tripped up and then get taken to the ground after some contact. As the officials will convene about it. Haven't gotten the official word just yet. We should any moment.
Defense number 1, 15-yard penalty, 1 right at first down.
So the pass interference call is confirmed against Concordia-Chicago.
Penalty against the Cougars will give Rockford.
So it'll be, in this case, a spot foul. So they'll have the ball now at the Cougars' 28-yard line. As they look to set the chains on the far side of the field before we get play underway.
Regents at the Cougars 28.
Two wide receivers each side with the ball at the far left hash. As on the direct snap, again, it's Houselayden, who tries to leap to the outside, but Rufus stops that from happening. Brings up second down after a gain of about 5. So second down as we have just over 7 minutes to play. Here in the first quarter, 7-0 Cougars, courtesy of an 80-yard touchdown on the first offensive play of that drive for the Cougars from Jordan Sepulveda to Danalis Pinellas. As Mack faces pressure, he's going to have to keep it himself. He's going to get the first down ahead of the 15-yard line. A nice heads-up play there from the sophomore to move the chains into red zone territory. So the ball now at the 12-yard line. Two wide receivers out left. As Mack takes the snap, and he's going to hand it off to his other back, and LeVar Johnson, the 5'10 sophomore. That's Johnson's first carry of the afternoon. Gained about 4. Off the initial spot. We'll see where they mark it. Either way, a short gain there for second down for the Regents.
A gain of 2, it will be second.
So 2nd and 8, they put it now at the 10. So the extra effort there, they did not give him a couple extra yards. Johnson still in as the running back to the right hip of Mack, as two wide receivers line to the far left, one to the right. Mack, left side, pass is caught, and in towards the 5-yard line goes Adam Ambrosio, and brings up a third down and short.
Pass complete to number 43.
About 1 yard to go, as the ball will be spotted at about the 3-yard line. Clock will still wind, as they didn't say he went out of bounds on his own.
3rd and 1.
So 3rd and 1 at the 3. Lining up under center is Delano Mack. And he's going to hand this one off and try to barrel his way forward. It's enough for the first down. He wants the second effort from his lineman to push him from behind, but they mark him short of it at the goal line. It's 1st and goal at about the 1 for the Regents.
Johnson on the carry, picking up the first down. 1st and goal.
So 1st and goal at the 1. Ball to the far hash. Receiver out to each side. You've got LeVar Johnson still in as running back. Mack will give it to him, and he is in for a Rockford touchdown. LeVar Johnson from 1 yard out gets his team on the board with 5:01 to play in the opening quarter. And the special teams, will come out to attempt the point after. Cody Kupsick will handle the extra point. Kupsick, the senior from Woodstock, Illinois, a product of Woodstock North High School. As a penalty flag comes out, the kick is up and it is good. But we'll have to see what the flag is going to be. As if it's on Concordia, it'll stand and we'll have a tie game at 7. Well, let's get the call. And it's going to be offsides on the Cougars, so Rockford will decline the penalty, and we are all tied at 7 here in this first quarter. Mack so far today at quarterback, 5 of 8 through the air, 36 yards. He's also been sacked once. And in terms of the running game, it's been a little bit of a split time here, as Chance Manning has 5 carries for 40 yards, and Mack, or I should say Johnson rather, 3 carries for only 5, but he does have the 1 touchdown that you saw a moment ago. And on the side for the Cougars, well, they're about to have their second offensive drive one pass, one completion, 80 yards, one touchdown. It was Sepulveda to the receiver, Dinas Pinellas. So the first time we'll see the returns team out for the Cougars this afternoon. As you'll have back deep in number 5 in Rob Dominguez. And also out there is Eric Hoff. Kupsick to boot this one away from his own 35. Cougars looking to respond after that 1-yard touchdown run from LeVar Johnson.
Eric Hoff and Robert Dominguez are deep to receive this kickoff from Cody Kupsick.
So here's the kick from Kupsick, and Dominguez is going to get it from just ahead of his own 10 on the far side of the field. He gets out of bounds towards the 30, and that is where the Cougars will take over at.
Dominguez on the return.
See where they have the ball spotted, right at the 30. So Jordan Sepulveda will lead the Cougars back out there once again, alongside their star running back in Lance Moyes, who's wearing number 29 today. Usually wears number 24. But today he's sporting the number 29 jersey. So they'll have their second offensive drive of the quarter and the afternoon as well at their own 30. 2 wide receivers to the left, one out to the right. Moyes at the right hip of Sepulveda. And this is going to go to Moyes up the middle. He is a big-time player, and he gets a first down. His first carry is a first down run for about 12. And it's a first down for the Cougars. It is good to have Lance Moyes back here at Concordia Stadium. He suffered that nasty upper body injury a few weeks ago here at home. It was in the third quarter on homecoming weekend against Aurora. As he gets his second carry, he just charges his way up the middle towards midfield, gain of about 6.
Moyes on the carry.
Had been out for the last few weeks of action, but is back here today, donning the maroon and yellow.
A gain of 6 to the 48-yard line. It will be
So the ball at the 48, 2 receivers left, 1 right again. 2 backs in the backfield now. As you've got Hoff to the left hip and Moyes at the right hip. Sepulveda the quarterback as Hoff goes out to the left. Sepulveda drops back. He looks to his left. He's got plenty of time with his line. They've protected him. He's going to keep it himself, and he is going to get a first down. Nice move there from Sepulveda, but credit to that offensive line for buying him time in the pocket as he gains about 8 yards on the run to bring up first down for the Cougars into Regents territory. So 1st and 10 as they got the ball at the Rockford 45. 2 receivers stacked on top to the right as Hoff now goes in motion. And Sepulveda off the fake handoff is going to drop back. Throws to the right in tight coverage. He was looking for Dominguez. Pass falls incomplete as it'll be 2nd down. As in coverage there for Rockford, that was Zach Botham, or I should say Zach Botham, excuse me. Botham in coverage. Botham, the sophomore from Roscoe, Illinois, proud of Hononegah High School up in the Rockford area. 2nd and 10 now at the 45. And off the delay, Moyes is going to get it to the right side. Hurdling another defender. He does that oh so well. Lance Moyes, first down Cougars. We've seen him do that on multiple occasions this year here at home. We shouldn't be shocked, but every time he does it, we are still in awe of his ability to do that. 1st and 10 at the 34. 3 receivers left, 1 right. Moyes in the backfield with Sepulveda. He quickly throws to the right for Pinellas. It's caught ahead of the 30-yard line as he gains about 8 yards on the completion for 2nd down and short. Again, an excellent hurdle there on the run from Moyes on that play a few moments ago. As we now have under 3 minutes to play here in the first quarter, tied at 7. Same formation again, along with the same personnel. Play clock now down to 15 as Sepulveda takes the snap, throws to his left. He finds Ken Woods, who gets eaten up by the turf monster ahead of the 20 just about, as once you're down, don't need the defender to touch you. It is a first down, though, but in more bittersweet fashion for Woods, who wanted probably a little more yards than that. So 1st and 10 now at the 21 as the Cougars look to get it into the end zone once again. 2 receivers each side, ball to the left hash. Sepulveda will give this to Moyes for a moment, then he fakes and throws to the right. It is caught. It's Dominguez ahead of the 10. A penalty flag is out, though, back at the 20-yard line. It would be a first down, but it looks like this may be coming back as a hold call, as that's where the initial pointing went to against Concordia. Although the side judges also coming out there to make the case. Could also be an ineligible receiver downfield. As either way, though, nice play from the freshman Sepulveda off the fake there to Moyes. Found the open target in Dominguez. Officials still talking about this play.
Offense number 54, that penalty is declined. We had pass interference, offense, spot foul, automatic first down.
So there was 2 penalties there that won against the Cougars, as our referee Paul Keating just referred to. Did have an ineligible receiver downfield, but then there was a pass interference call against Dominguez. You saw there he was wide open after Sepulveda optioned to his right and kept it, then threw to him. So this will now back Concordia up now to the 36-yard line. They're going to have a long way to go. It's a first down. They'll need to get to the Rockford 12 to convert.
Pass interference was on number 15 on the offense.
Actually, they just corrected it to Pinellas on the pass interference call. Either way, first down, but a little more back than they would have preferred, as Moyes is going to get the handoff to the right side. Lance Moyes gets to a couple more defenders. He trucks his way in for a 1st and goal. Even when penalties back up Concordia, if you give it to Lance Moyes, the junior, good things are bound to happen.
Tackled by number 33, Dylan Peterson.
Brings up 1st and goal, as the ball will be spotted at about the 8-yard line. 28 yards on the run there from the junior from Coral Springs, Florida. Through our receivers left on this 1st and goal. Moyes is going to keep it. He cuts back up the middle, and he is in for a Cougars touchdown. Welcome back, Lance Moyes.
Touchdown, Cougars.
From 8 yards out, he gets the Cougars back in the lead. Point after coming up, 13-7 our score. Hayes out for the point after, as this offense has looked rather efficient so far through 1 quarter play. A snap that was a little hard to handle there from Beaudette, but nevertheless Hayes gets it through the uprights and good, as the Cougars now lead at 14-7 with 1:35 to play here in our opening quarter. Sepulveda 3 of 4 so far in this first quarter with 93 yards and a touchdown pass. Moyes with 5 carries for 65 yards and a score. Sepulveda also has a run for 7 yards. The 2 receivers, Pinellas, 2 catches, 87 yards. He had that 80-yard touchdown reception off the first offensive play of the game for Concordia. And then Ken Woods, 1 catch for 6 yards. As this defense now will come back out there. Alba so far today has 4 tackles and 1 for a loss. As Alba leads that defensive line on their left side, who had an excellent game, as we talked about, in that loss to Concordia, Wisconsin, as he had 12 tackles in that game, 1.5 for a loss. Also had a half a sack to his credit, too. And also not to be not mentioned is Thaddeus Daniel, who we talked about, had 11 tackles in that game too. So 2 linebackers in Payan and Daniel Jr., and then the linemen in Alba have been the 3 workhorses on this defensive side of the ball for Concordia all season long. As Hayes will kick off from his own 35. Once again, Campos and Joyner back deep. Or I should say, back deep now for the Regents. In place of Joyner is Liam Joyce, number 20. Nevertheless, though, Campos will be the one to receive it from his own 9 off the kickoff. And he is going to be met and nowhere to go. That was Alvarez who got the initial hit on him. So they stopped that from developing any further. And the Regents offense will take over at their own 20-yard line. So the Regents, who have been led by Delano Mack, the sophomore today, will trot back out there. Talked about the play from their other sophomore and Eric Mackey in the loss last week at home against Aurora. Led the team in passing and rushing yards, respectively. Man goes in motion with 8 seconds on the play clock here. And Manning is going to get the handoff, and he gets outside to the left. And Manning, trying to get the edge, has a nice run on first down.
Number 12, Chance Manning.
Chance Manning, the senior 5'5" running back from Durand, Illinois.
Saul Dominguez Jr.
Gained about 8 to bring up second down and short.
They'll go as a gain of 8 on the play, second down and 2.
And Rockford today coming in 1-3 in the conference, 2-5 overall. Concordia winless in conference play at 0-4 so far, 1-6 on the season. Concordia's win came back on opening week against Beloit in a non-conference matchup. As Mack faces some trouble, rolls to his right, throws over the middle as he was looking for his intended target in the tight end, the 6'3" junior, and Adam Abrogio. As that one may have been also deflected too, brings up third down. So Mack will break the huddle as we now have under a minute to go. So on this third down, 2 wide receivers out to the right, 1 out to the left. Manning at the right hip of Mack. And Manning's going to get the handoff, and Manning appears to have gotten the first down. He needed 2, and it looks like he got 3, so that'll move the chains. Actually, they spotted him back a little bit. A little more than I think the chains had anticipated. It's going to be 4th down and maybe a nose of the football to go, or now they're going to roll it first down. One of the far judges on the sideline in Pete Blair, he had it up the initial sign as 4th down, but then I think one of the other officials corrected him, saying it was enough for a first down. As the clock will wind under 15 seconds. 12 on the play clock, though, so they will have to get a playoff. Ball at the 29. LeVar Johnson now in as the running back. Man comes in motion, and keeping this himself off the direct snap is Houseladen again. And that'll take us to the end of the first quarter as Houseladen gained about 4 on that one. But a very nice first quarter for the Cougars. An 80-yard touchdown reception on the first offensive play for Concordia in the first quarter to Dinas Pinellas. And then a 8-yard touchdown run from Lance Moyes, the junior, making his return today. Gives the Cougars that 14 points on the board through 1 quarter of action. And then on the side for the Regents, it was LeVar Johnson with a 1-yard touchdown run in that first quarter to put us at 14-7 as they'll switch sides of the field and as we get set for second quarter action. Again, thanks for joining us here on the Concordia Cougars Network on this brisk and partly sunny Saturday afternoon here at Concordia Stadium. I'm Ryan Fay with you here on today's call. Also want to thank our crew behind the scenes as well, producer Joe Krenz, along with our camera crew of Irene Swift and Taylor Kalasowitz. So now to be the Regents going right to left offensively on your screen in the road white uniforms with the purple helmets, purple numbers and black pants, while your Cougars in their maroon jerseys and helmets with the yellow pants, and they'll be going left to right offensively once they get the ball. So second quarter now underway. Second down and 6 on their own 33 for Rockford. 3 receivers out right, 1 to the left. As Mack will throw to his left, he was looking there for Owens. As the pass falls incomplete to bring up third down. As that throw there was a little bit behind Owens.
Intended for number 81, Owens. It will bring up 3rd and 6 from the 33.
So far for Owens, he's got 2 catches for 13 yards. So third down and 6, 3 receivers out right, 1 to the left. You've got Johnson at the left hip of Mack. Mack takes a snap in the shotgun. He steps up in the pocket, and he's going to go nowhere. Darius Lemons, the senior from Broadview, Illinois, brings it to a 4th down.
And that was Ryan Murray and Darius Lemons teaming up.
Ryan Murray will also get credit for that one too, the sophomore. Brings up 4th down. No gain off that as Mack tried to run for it. So the punting unit will come on out now for Rockford. As out to punt this is Octavio Galvez, number 96, the 5'10 freshman. As this punt, not a very good one. And that actually, for a moment, it's going to take a Cougars bounce. And the Cougars' first offensive drive of the second quarter is going to begin in Regents territory. So excellent field position to start for Concordia. As the offense and freshman quarterback Jordan Sepulveda will trot back out to the field along with Lance Moyes. Mentioned again, wearing number 29 today, not his usual 24. Three wide receivers will line up to the right, 1 out to the far left, ball at the far hash. Moyes will be at the left hip of Sepulveda. 1st and 10 at the 47, as Moyes has time in the backfield looking for some lead blockers. And he jukes his way to the right side for a gain of a couple to bring up 2nd down to the 45. Mentioned coming into play today, Lance Moyes has been out the last few weeks due to injury. Coming in on the season today, he had over 1,000 yards rushing already to go along with 10 touchdowns. And in terms of averaging yardage per game, before he had gotten hurt, he was averaging over 200 yards rushing per game. As he's going to get the carry again, and why not? Ahead of the 35, 1st down Cougars. That was Jalen Bashford, the sophomore, on the tackle. But that'll move the ball deeper into Regents territory for another Concordia 1st down. Pinellas will be the receiver out to the right. 3 out to the left. We've got Dominguez along with Eric Hoff out there as well. As on this will be a throw to the right for Pinellas ahead of the 25. Sepulveda linking up with a fellow freshman again in Pinellas, as mentioned. 14-7 our score here early on in the second quarter. There's a completion of 8 on the completion. Same formation yet again. As Moyes, actually, I got faked there for a moment as Sepulveda kept it. He wanted Eric Hoff to his left as the pass there fell incomplete to bring up 3rd down.
We'll bring up 3rd and 2.
So it'll be 3rd and 2 as Dominguez will come off to the sidelines now. And Will Carlson, number 84, the freshman tight end from Houston, Texas, now checks in. 3 wide receivers left, nobody to the right. Moyes at the right hip of Sepulveda. As he gets a check from the sidelines as we have 7 seconds to go on the play clock. Moyes at the right hip. Sepulveda is going to roll to his right, and he's going to keep it for that 1st down just ahead of the 20.
And that's Jordan Sepulveda, the keeper.
So Sepulveda As looked like Rockford was all keyed in on number 29 to have him get the football, but Sepulveda says, oh, I can run it myself too.
His first attempt for the Cougars at the Regents, 19.
So the ball now at the 19 in red zone territory. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left, and Moyes again at the right hip. Sepulveda will keep it, gets around a defender. He's going to roll to his right. He's going to run, and he's got room, and he's got a touchdown. Good awareness downfield from Jordan Sepulveda, and 19 yards to the house he goes. 20-7 Cougars. Great protection from the offensive line, kind of clearing that whole right lane for Sepulveda as Hayes is out for the point after. Beaudette the holder. And you can now make it a 21-7 lead for your Concordia-Chicago Cougars. Second quarters have been rather the down quarter of games over the last month or so for this team. And they start the second quarter off just a few minutes into it with a 19-yard run from the quarterback Sepulveda. So Hayes will come out and kick this one away as the Cougars up 2 touchdowns here. Some other conference games happening today as well on this Saturday, October 27th. You've got the top 2 teams in the conference squaring off, both unbeaten in conference play so far, as Eureka heads over to Concordia, Wisconsin today. Eureka is unbeaten on the season at 7-0, while Concordia, Wisconsin is 6-1. You've got Benedictine and Lakeland going at it over at Lakeland, as you've got 3 teams in the conference at 2-2 overall. You've got Aurora, Benedictine, and Lakeland, as mentioned, who are scoring off today. And you've got Wisconsin Lutheran at Aurora today. And Aurora, we mentioned 2-2. They're 2-5 on the year, while Wisconsin Lutheran is 1-3 in conference, along with being 1-6 overall in the season. So Hayes will kick this one off left to right, as you've got Campos and Joyner back deep for the Regents. Booming kick, wind with Hayes there, as this one will get short of the end zone. Campbell's is going to have to play it from his own 1. That football took a Concordia home field advantage bounce, and the Regents are going to have to come out and start this drive inside their own 5-yard line. What a kick from Hayes that spun in his favor. As that one, Campbell's assumed that was just going to bounce into the end zone, and it just took an immediate stop.
Way to go, Orlando!
Quite the swerve on the football. As this one will bring out, they spotted at the 6. Either way, as now the other sophomore quarterback, Eric Mackey, now is out there on the field. Lines up under center. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left, as Mackey takes a snap and gives it to Manning, who pushes ahead towards the 10 to bring up second down. So now Eric Mackey, the 6'2", 200-pound sophomore quarterback, now in from Marengo, Illinois. As that first quarter was led there on the charge by Delano Mack, the other quarterback on their roster, as Manning is going to get the handoff again. He's almost ripped down in the backfield, as he got a little bit out of it, as Colson Ethan Poa, the sophomore linebacker from San Francisco, California, got him in the backfield for a loss of about 4 or 5, brings him back to the original line where they had started this drive at. So it'll be 3rd and 11 now at the 5. Crowd getting loud here again at Concordia Stadium, as Regents are having their quarterback stand in his own end zone in the shotgun. Mackey, the left-handed thrower, throws to his left, and the open target has enough for the first down ahead of the 20-yard line, as making that catch there was the sophomore Liam Joyce.
Quarterback is number 15, Eric Mackey, and he completes to
That was Joyce's second catch of the day.
Rockford.
So that'll move the chains, and Rockford can now breathe out of their own end zone now, as they spot the ball at the 22 for a gain of 17 on that completion. Under 11 minutes now to play in this first half. 21-7 Cougars. 2 receivers each side. As keeping this himself is Mackey, and he gets stopped just ahead of the 25 to the 27. Mentioned Mackey was the leading runner for the Regents in that 25-7 loss at home last week to Aurora. Had 80 yards on the ground with his feet. That led all rushers in that game for Rockford in that 25-7 loss. And Eric Mackey is actually the 3rd leading rusher on this team, coming in with just over 250 yards rushing on the season. As he rolls to his left, and the pass is caught by Housleyden as he gets ahead of the 35 for another Rockford first down. We've seen Housleyden line up under center today, taking direct snaps.
Rockford first down at the 35-yard line.
So now 1st and 10 at the 35. As Mackey looks to continue to move this offense downfield. 2 receivers each side again with the ball at the left hash. Joyce comes in motion. Mackey's going to keep it himself, though, and he's going to be met immediately. Caleb Casey with the initial stop for the Cougars. Gain of maybe 1 there on that run from Mackey, as it brings up 2nd and 9 at the 36.
Mackey stopped after a gain of a yard. Rudy Payan and Caleb Casey leading the Cougars charge.
Rudy Payan also is in there as well, the senior linebacker from El Paso, Texas. As now the Regents have 3 wide receivers lined up right, 1 to the left. Manning at the left hip as Mackey will quickly toss to the left from Manning. Pass is caught ahead of the 40 and the 45 as he gets out of bounds at midfield for another Regents first down.
12, Chance Manning.
So Eric Mackey being efficient on his first drive at the quarterback spot this afternoon.
At the 50, first down for Rockford.
That's his 3rd completed pass on this drive, as that puts the ball right at the 50. As we now have under 9 minutes to play in the second quarter. Still a 2-touchdown lead for the Cougars, 21-7. Same formation again. Mackey in the shotgun is going to give it off to Manning, who gets his way for a head for 2 yards for 2nd down and 8. And it looks like we have an injury on the defensive side of the ball, as having to hobble off to the sidelines is Colin Salmon, the sophomore from Miramar, Florida. One of the linemen appear to be favoring his left leg. Could be walking off a cramp as well. And we'll check on his status as the quarter goes on. So 2nd and 8 from the 48 as we approach 8 minutes to go, with the clock continuing to run. Through our receivers right again, 1 to the left. Manning at the left hip of Mackey, who throws over the middle, and it is intercepted! It was Rufus in coverage, and Casey with the INT. He stays down the sidelines into Regents territory. But the first defensive takeaway of the afternoon is an interception for the Cougars. As Casey got the interception, much credit though needs to be given to Demetrius Rufus, who was in coverage there on the intended receiver in Owens.
After the interception, holding, return team, number 9, 10-yard penalty, in the spot of the foul, first down.
So that does bring the interception back a little bit. Adam Hernandez called for holding after the interception, so it is Cougars football, but this will bring them back now, as the ball, or I should say the penalty was on the Rockford side of it at the 44, so that's going to back them up a bit. And they have it now spotted at the 44 on their own side. So 1st and 10, Sepulveda back out there with this offense that can be very lethal, led by Lance Moyes, who charges ahead towards the 50 for a gain of about 5. But an interception and a takeaway from Caleb Casey gives the Cougars the football back. The 5'9" DB from Ocala, Florida. There's now 3 wide receivers lined up to the right, 1 to the left. Moyes right behind Sepulveda. And Sepulveda is going to keep this one himself on the option. He's going to get a first down and slide ahead just short of the 40 to move the chains.
Keeper down to the Rockford.
Clock will continue after the chains are set.
First down.
So with the ball now at the 41, 1st and 10 Concordia. Hoff goes out in motion to the right. And Moyes is going to get it as he makes a second move ahead of the 35 as a penalty flag comes out. Rather, 2 flags are out. Ball's at the 34 at the moment, but we'll see what the flag's going to be. We'll get the call here in a moment from our head referee, Paul Keating, who's talking with the head linesman, Peter King.
Face mask, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So a face mask as Moyes was getting tackled to the ground. So that'll be a bonus 15 yards for the Cougars as they charge deeper into Regents territory. They'll spot the ball now in red zone territory at the Rockford 19-yard line. So 1st and 10 with 7 minutes to go. And it'll be Tyler Martins with the carry here, his first of the afternoon. He's gotten the start in place of Moyes the last few weeks due to the injury he suffered back on homecoming weekend. So his first carry is for minimal gain, maybe a yard on it. As Moyes will get a breather on the sidelines.
No gain on the play, will be 2nd and 10.
So 2nd and 10. 2 wide receivers out to the left, 1 to the right. Martin's at the right hip of Sepulveda. And on the delay, Martins will keep it for minimal gain again to bring up 3rd down. Martins coming into action today, averaging just under 4 yards a rush with 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. But a lot of his production had increased over the last couple of weeks due to Lance being out and Tyler being slated into the starting role. As now Moyes will come back out here on this 3rd down. Through our receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Moyes at the left tip of Sepulveda. On this 3rd and 10. Sepulveda has time, steps up, and he's going to be knocked short. He gets taken down at the 15 as making sure he doesn't get any further was Octavio Galvez, number 96, the 5'10 linebacker, who also handles punting duties as well. So it brings up 4th down, ball at the 16. So Hayes will come out to attempt this from about 33 yards for the attempt on this field goal. Beaudette the holder. As the Cougars look to increase their lead with just over 5 minutes to play in the first half. And this kick is a low line drive one, but it'll work. As long as it goes to the uprights, doesn't matter how it looks. It's 24-7 Cougars. Seemed like Beaudette had a little issue handling the snap, but nevertheless, Hayes was able to get it through. Maybe a little lower than he had anticipated, but it goes through the uprights nevertheless. So with just over 5 minutes to go, it is 24-7 Cougars. And Sepulveda, the freshman on the day so far, 4 for 6 passing, 101 yards and a touchdown. Lance Moyes with 9 carries for 92 yards and a score. Sepulveda also has a rushing touchdown, 5 carries and 44 yards. And on the defensive side of the ball that we'll be seeing come out there, Payan and Dudley each have 5 tackles leading the way for the Cougars. Rufus has 4 tackles, 1 for a loss. And on the side for the Regents of Rockford, we've seen Mackey now come out as the quarterback here in the 2nd quarter of play. Although the quarterback getting the start today was Delano Mack, the 6', 250-pound sophomore quarterback. Went 5 of 10 in that first quarter for 36 yards. while Mackey 3 of 4 with an interception for 39 yards on the day. Mack was also sacked twice in that first quarter. So Hayes is out to kick this one away. You've got Campos and Joyner back deep. And calling for the fair catch? Or did they say he was in the end zone? I couldn't tell, but nevertheless, the ball will be brought out to the 20-yard line. Although I thought calling for the fair catch there, that being Joyner, was ahead of the yard line of the goal line. So they'll bring the fair catch rather to 25, I should say. But I have to think that I look like, from my initial look at it, I didn't know if Joyner was in the end zone calling for that fair catch. But nevertheless, 2 wide receivers right, 1 to the left, ball to 25, as Manning's going to get the handoff, and he's going to get to the second level as he gets a first down just short of the 40-yard line. So Chance Manning, the 5'5 senior, has a gain of 14 on that run to bring the ball to the 39-yard line, as we now have under 5 minutes to play in the first half. And keeping this one himself is Mackey, who now darts to the outside on his right and runs out of bounds just short of the 45, gains about 3 or 4 yards on it. In terms of the running game, we mentioned Mackey had 80 yards in the game last week against Aurora. That was his 3rd run of the afternoon. It was a gain of 4, so puts the ball at the 43. So we approach 4.5 to go. Through our receivers left as Mackey is going to look that way, and he finds Houselayden, who is going to be met right away after getting the catch. That was Rufus, the junior, on the stop. Gain of maybe 3, brings up 3rd down.
Ball is at the 46-yard line. It will be
as Mackey gets the call from the sideline. Not a lot of urgency here as we get to the final minutes of this first half from the Rockford side of things offensively. 2 wide receivers out to the right, 1 to the left. Manning at the right hip of Mackey. And Mackey on the snap is going to keep it himself. Ball comes out, but it looks like Rockford fell on it. And it looks like falling on top of that for Rockford was number 75 in David McLeavin. And it would mark them just short of the first down. It's 4th and 1 from the 48. So the offense staying out there on this 4th and short right near midfield. And actually the punting unit looks like they'll be coming on out. I want to correct myself. It was William Lawhorn that recovered that loose ball for the Regents. Lawhorn, the 6'3 senior lineman from Rochelle, Illinois. So 4th and 1 as the punting unit will come on out. It'll be Galvez to receive it, but because they took the longer time to get the punting unit out there, it's a delay of game against Rockford, so this will put the now football back at the 43. As we have just over 3 minutes to play here in the first half. We've got Dominguez and Berrigan back deep. As this punt is a line drive that hits at the 30. Takes a Rockford bounce. And this ball will now stop at the 27-yard line. Cougars still have all 3 of their timeouts. Again, the Cougars will have the ball to start the second half as Rockford won the toss and elected to receive the opening kickoff today. With the Cougars leading 24-7, if they are able to get a score with 2:57 to go, and then have the ball back and limit Rockford with whatever time may be left on this clock in this first half. That could just be another added bonus they can take into the locker room at halftime. Man comes in motion as Griffin Beaudette is now in at quarterback. He throws to Eric Hoff, who tries to dart around a defender there, as forcing him to run out of bounds there on the side of Rockford was Bryce Spence. Wasn't enough for the first down, though. It was a gain of 13 on the completion to Hoff. As Beaudette, now the sophomore, in at quarterback. Griffin Beaudette now in. After a great first half from Sepulveda, it's Beaudette in as the throw to the right side is caught by Pinellas ahead of the 45.
Beaudette complete to number 15.
Beaudette only had 4 completions in the loss last week before Sepulveda came in and had a better outing in that loss. Completed 13 passes did Sepulveda in that 45-34 defeat on the road to Concordia, Wisconsin. It was a completion of 5 there to Hoff a moment ago. 3 receivers left, 1 to the right. As Beaudette is going to throw to his right again, finds Pinellas ahead of the 50, and it'll be enough for a Cougars first down.
And once again, it's Beaudette to Pinellas.
So Pinellas now over 100 yards on the day. And you can think a majority of those yards coming from that first offensive play that he got for an 80-yard reception for a touchdown. So first down and 10 into Regents territory as we approach 2 minutes to go. Same formation again as another completion of Pinellas out of the 45. Clock will still run as his quick throws to the right for Pinellas just adding up to his impressive first half for the freshman from Pensacola, Florida. We approach 100 seconds to play in this half. All 3 timeouts still at use for the Cougars. And Moyes is going to get the handoff here on this drive for the first time in this drive as he stumbles ahead to the 40. Brings up 3rd down and manageable. Moyes just under 100 yards now after that run for the afternoon. Has a touchdown to his credit as well from 8 yards out.
Of 4 on the play, and that will give
It'll be 10 carries for 96 yards with that run you just saw. As we approach 1 minute to go in this half. Ball at the right hash at the 40. On this 3rd down. Another throw to Pinellas. Boy, he has been reliable this afternoon. Moves the chains for a first down as he gets out of bounds. Just short of the 30 at the 32.
Pinellas once again will move those
His 7th catch
down for the Cougars.
of the day so far. And they have been going to that wall, and Rockford hasn't done much to stop it. Ball at the 32. And we get a whistle and a timeout that the Cougars will call. Beaudette, a perfect 4 for 4 here in this quarter, 14 yards, and all that's been going to Pinellas. So timeout charged to the Cougars. They have 2 remaining, while the Regents still have all 3 of theirs. Again, thanks for joining us on this partly cloudy, and we've seen the sun at times here Saturday afternoon here at Concordia Stadium on the Concordia Cougars Network. You're home for Cougars football. I'm Ryan Fay with you here on today's call on this cool Saturday afternoon. Feeling definitely like fall in the air with a light wind coming out of the northeast direction. Hasn't been really effective today, as we've seen in rather recent games where the wind has been a factor at times, but not the case here in this first half of action this afternoon. So as the teams get back out onto the field, ball at the 32 on this 1st and 10. 3 receivers left, 1 right. Beaudette steps up in the pocket, and he's going to run it to the right side. And he just to barrel over a defender, but it doesn't really work out for him, as it was Garrick McGregor on the tackle. Brings up 2nd down. That was a gain of about 4 or 5, depending on the spot. I think they'll mark it as a gain of 4, so the ball's now at the 28. He got out of bounds, so the clock stops with 51 seconds. So So on the 2nd and 6, Beaudette. Again, great protection from this offensive line as he keeps it himself to get a few yards. Clock now at 42 seconds, brings up 3rd down. Gained about 5 on that run to the right side. So 3rd down and 1 at the 23.
3rd down for the Cougars, 3rd and 1.
And they still have 2 timeouts. 3 receivers out left, 1 to the right. Moyes at the right hip, the running back. Beaudette over the middle, wide open, and taken down at the 1-yard line is Rob Dominguez. 22 yards on the completion for 1st and goal. And the Cougars have called their 2nd timeout as they want to set up this 1st and goal with 36 seconds to play in the half. But getting into that soft area of coverage was the sophomore from Houston, Texas, Rob Dominguez, as that was his first catch of the afternoon. So you have to imagine on this 1st and goal, at least on the side of Rockford, they're going to be keying in on number 29. Especially in this goal-to-goal situation with 36 seconds to play in it. So the Cougars now down to 1 timeout. Rockford, as mentioned, still have all 3 of theirs. Two receivers line up to the left, no one to the right, with the ball on the near hash, the 1. 24-7 Cougars. As Beaudette gives it to Moyes. Why not? Touchdown Cougars! His 2nd of the afternoon. Lance Moyes, as a late flag comes out. 30-7 our score. As there were some extracurriculars after the touchdown had been scored. We'll get the call in a moment from our head referee and Paul Keating. As we have the special teams units out there for both sides. And the officials still haven't made the official comment as to the flag that was thrown after the touchdown had been scored.
The touchdown, unsportsmanlike conduct on the scoring team, number 29. That's his first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. The penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. The score is good.
So the unsportsmanlike goes on Lance Moyes, who scored the touchdown. That's his first of the afternoon. So there must have been some words that should not have been said, because nothing got physical with any pushing or shoving. Hayes now off for the point after, and it is up and good. Makes it now a 31-7 Cougars lead with 33 seconds to go. So that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that you just heard will be assessed on the kickoff, as our referee Paul Keating had mentioned. But nevertheless, Moyes with his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon, his 12th rushing touchdown on the season. As coming in today, in terms of yards per gain that Moyes would get when running with the football, he averaged just under 9 yards a carry. Needless to say, that's pretty good. So far today, 11 carries for 97 yards and 2 scores. As Griffin Beaudette is a perfect 6 for 6 on the day with 56 yards through the air, while Jordan Sepulveda 4 for 6 for 101 yards and a touchdown. So both these quarterbacks that have been in for the Cougars today, very efficient in the passing game, as they're a combined 10 for 12 for 157 yards. So with that unsportsmanlike penalty that was assessed, this will now mean Hayes will kick off from his own 20, and this will put the returners for Rockford in Campos and Joyner to stand ahead of their own 25-yard line. So the kickoff will happen again. Cougars will get the ball to start the second half. So that touchdown score can loom large once we begin the second half if they're able to score. Joyner goes back to get this one from his own 17-yard line. And Joyner gets a head of steam ahead towards the 45 with 25 seconds to play, and got a couple extra words being exchanged there between players as Rob Berrigan and I should say Adam Hernandez was kind of in on that mix. In there with Stefan Santaramo for the side of Rockford. So this Rockford offense will come back out on their own 46. They have all 3 timeouts. Mackey back out there at the quarterback spot. Man comes in motion to the left side. 2 receivers right, 1 and 2 to the left. Mackey on the screen finds Manning, who doesn't get much after the catch. As Thaddeus Daniel, the senior linebacker, brings him down for a gain of maybe 1 yard on it. Timeout Rockford, 14 seconds on the clock.
Number 9, Thaddeus Daniel, first charge timeout.
So a timeout called, 2 remaining for Rockford. Cougars still have 1 timeout of their own. That was only a gain of 1 yard off that screen toss there from Eric Mackey to Chance Manning. As this Cougars defense has been very impressive here today. It looks like they're going to put a couple more seconds back on the clock per our head referee Paul Keating. So 16 seconds remain on the clock here in this first half. Ball at the far hash on the 47. 2 receivers out left, 2 to the right as well. Mackey in the shotgun with Manning at the right hip. Mackey to his right. It is caught. First down into Cougars territory. That's Ambrosio again. 10 seconds on the clock. And he did not go out of bounds, I don't believe, on that far side of the field. As the Regents do call another timeout. They've got 1 remaining with 10 seconds to go. That was a gain of 17 yards on that completion to Ambrosio, the 6'3" junior tight end. Has been one of the favorite targets today, as that was his 3rd catch for roughly 45 yards now on the day. So timeout, 31-7 Cougars lead. And again, this has been a Cougars team that has had many struggles in second quarters of games, whether it's been here at home or on the road. And sometimes hasn't really been the matter of what the defense has done in its second quarter. It's more so the offense that's kind of gotten a little stagnant at times, but that has not been the case here today. It has been rather the opposite story. 10 seconds as the Cougars show pressure. Mackey throws to his left, and he just heaved it downfield as he was looking there for his intended receiver, Kalen Miller.
For number 18, Kalen Miller.
5 seconds now on the clock on this 2nd down and 10 from the 30. Have to imagine perhaps 1 more heave to the end zone here for Eric Mackey, and that would end our first half. But overall, a great first half on both sides of the football from the Cougars. Two wide receivers right, 1 to the left. Manning at the right hip of Mackey. Or I should say there's 3 out to the right. Mackey to the end zone, jump ball, incomplete. And that is how the first half will come to an end. 17 unanswered in this second quarter from the Cougars. And they will go to the locker room with a 31-7 lead and will receive the kickoff to begin the third quarter. So a great first half from the Cougars. We'll see if they can keep it up after they come out of the locker room at halftime. We'll be back for more Cougars football in a little bit here on the Concordia Cougars Network.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for your halftime entertainment, please welcome Concordia-Chicago's cheer and dance team, the Dazzlers. Across the track and field. And we'll see you back here in about 17 minutes for second half action.
I just said if she had a plain dress, maybe she could get a cardigan to wear on top of the dress to make it a little bit more casual. Make it out. They like corduroy.
And Cougar fans, just a reminder that the team will be on the road next week at Wisconsin Lutheran College in Milwaukee for a 1 o'clock start. And then 2 weeks from today, we're back right here for our final game of the season against Benedictine University. And if you're coming to that game, please take note that we will kick off an hour early.
Back with you here to get set for second half action of Concordia Cougars football here on the Concordia Cougars Network. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. I'm Ryan Fay with you here on today's call. 31-7 in favor of your Cougars as we're about to get set for second half action. In that first half, we saw very efficient play from both quarterbacks the Cougars have used today. It started off with Jordan Sepulveda, the freshman. He went 4 for 6 for 101 yards and a touchdown. And the first offensive play the Cougars had in the first half was an 80-yard touchdown throw from Sepulveda to Danas Pinellas. So it was a freshman-to-freshman connection to get the Cougars on the board first. And then as we saw through the developments of that second quarter, the sophomore Griffin Beaudette came in and so far has been a perfect 6 for 6 and 56 yards through the air. While in the running game, now that the returning Lance Moyes is back, well, he's been doing just Lance things. 11 carries for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. Have to imagine he'll be getting over the 100-yard clips yet again in just a matter of moments once the Cougars get the ball here to begin the third quarter of action. As Rockford won the toss before today's game, they elected to receive. So now they'll be kicking off to the Cougars here to begin this third quarter of play. The Cougars will be receiving this kick going right to left, while Rockford will be kicking this going left to right. Back deep for the Cougars to return this will be Eric Hoff and Andre Jones. And to kick this one away for Rockford will be Octavio Galvez, number 96. Or I should say, in this case, for the kickoff duties, to be Cody Kupsick, number 35. Galvez is the one that more so handles the punting duties. So both teams out there as the ball immediately falls off the tee. 31-7 as the Cougars looking for their first Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference win of the season. They're 0-4 coming into action today. Can they turn that tide around with another great half against Rockford? They're up by 24. It's a good start if you want to make that first conference win happen. Off we go for the third quarter. Off will get this one as almost a little bit of trickery as he's going to keep it ahead of the 30 into the second wave past midfield. And the Cougars will have excellent field position to begin their first drive of the second half, as there is a penalty flag back on the Rockford side of the field at the 39-yard line. We'll see what the call is here in a moment.
Eric Hoff on the return takes it just across midfield.
Get the call from our head official, Paul Keating.
5-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
So it was an offsides call that goes against Rockford. So that 5-yard penalty puts now the ball at the Rockford 48-yard line. So this drive starts in Regents territory. Jordan Sepulveda, the freshman, back out there at quarterback. 2 wide receivers each side in the shotgun. Lance Moyes, the running back, at his right hip. And Lance is going to get it. And Lance will drive his way for a gain of 3 yards to bring up second down. Mentioned Moyes had 97 yards in the first half, and on that first run here of the third quarter, that puts him over 100, or puts him at 100 rather. Same formation again on the second down. Sepulveda throws to his right. It's Pinellas, and Pinellas will get the first down. Pinellas was on that receiving end of the first offensive play that went 80 yards to the house. So he has over 115 yards receiving on the day.
First and 10 Cougars at the Rockford.
So now a new set of downs for Concordia-Chicago at the 36, as we've just gotten the second half underway. 3 wide receivers left, 1 to the right, as Sepulveda will once again throw to Pinellas as he gains a few off of it. As Pinellas with his 8th catch of the afternoon with that completion right there. Now over 120 yards receiving on the day. Puts him now at, from that last pass, puts him at 128 now. So second down, Sepulveda is going to keep it. He steps back to try to reset and throw it as he wanted Hoff, but it falls incomplete, brings up third down. We've seen Sepulveda try to do that on a few occasions. Do the option where he keeps it, runs to his left, but then, or right sometimes, and try to throw, but that hasn't been the most successful play that the Cougars have ran so far today. As on this 3rd and 8, 3 receivers left, 1 to the right, play clock at 15. Sepulveda gets the call from the sidelines. Play clock now down to 5. Sepulveda will hand it off to Moyes on 3rd and 8, and he's going to get it as he tumbles his way to the 20-yard line. First down, Cougars. Not many teams are going to be confident enough to run it on 3rd down and 8 on a draw play like that, but when you've got Lance Moyes in your backfield, why not?
First and 10 Cougars at the Regents.
That was a 13-yard run to make it a 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line of the Regents. Two wide receivers right, one to the left. Moyes at the right hip of Sepulveda. Moyes is going to get the run again. Gets outside the numbers, inside the 10-yard line.
Moyes on the carry, and taken out of bounds around the 10-yard line.
It'll be a new set of downs. It'll be 1st and goal for the Cougars. Trying to pad on to this 24-point lead they have.
And the Cougars have a first and
3 receivers out right, no one to the left. Moyes at the left hip of Sepulveda. Moyes gets it again. He's already got 2 touchdowns today as he's stopped at about the 3 for a gain of 7. Mentioned 12 total rushing touchdowns for Lance Moyes this season. And yards per rush, just under 9. Has been out the last few weeks, though, due to injury, but has returned in a big fashion today. 2nd and goal as they have him spotted at the 2. Sepulveda runs to his right. He runs it in for yet another Cougars touchdown. His 2nd running touchdown of the afternoon to make it 37-7. So Sepulveda getting the rushing touchdown to pad on to this lead, now up by 30, with Hayes out for the point after, as it has been all Cougars all afternoon here at Concordia Stadium. The extra point is good, making it 38-7 with just under 12 minutes to play in this 3rd quarter of action.
remaining in our 3rd quarter.
So taking a look at the stats here overall, with that drive included. Sepulveda with 6 carries, 46 yards, and 2 touchdowns running the football, and is 6 of 9 passing for 112 yards and a touchdown throw. Meanwhile, for Moyes, 15 carries on the ground for 132 yards, with 2 touchdowns to go along with it. Campos, Joyner are back deep for the Regents. Hayes out to kick this one away from his own 35. Hayes on the left hash to kick it, as Rockford is looking for any kind of answers, whether it's on offense or defense. They had the one early score to counter back in the 1st quarter, but they have been silenced ever since. Joyner will receive this from about his own 8, as he wants to go to the opposite side of the field. He gets over one defender, and he gets taken down just short of the 25-yard line. And that'll bring out Eric Mackey and the Regents offense that today started with Delano Mack under center as quarterback. But Mackey has taken the snaps through the 2nd quarter and now to their first offensive drive of this half here.
33, Mark Hogan on the tackle for the Cougars.
Mark Hogan, the sophomore, on that tackle there in coverage.
5.
So 1st and 10 at the 25. Manning at the left hip, Chance Manning. The 5'5" running back with 2 wide receivers out to his left for Mackey, and Manning's going to get the handoff. He goes up the middle for a couple to bring up 2nd down. Again, for the Cougars, they're looking for their first win since opening weekend here at home in a non-conference battle against Beloit where they won 36-10. That was back on September 1st as Mackey throws to his left and the pass is caught down the field. And trying to run after the fact there after making the catch was Adam Ambrosio, as he was trying to make the case that he was never down. But we do have an injured Cougar on the far side of the field, as that was Alvarez that was slow to get up. Appears to be favoring his left side there, so he'll jog off to the sidelines under his own power. I think he's telling the sidelines that he'll be good. He'll come out for just a play, though. Although I think the staff will look at him nevertheless. May have just had the wind knocked out of him. Keep an eye on his status as this goes on. 1st and 10 at the 48 for Rockford. Mackey, the left-handed throwing quarterback, is almost going to get tripped up from behind, and he just heaves it out of bounds to live to fight another day. Good pressure faced there from the back end for Concordia, as that was Randall Clage, the sophomore, chasing him down. Makes it 2nd down. And coming into today's action for the Regents for Eric Mackey, he's completed just over 52% of his passes for 729 yards, 4 touchdown passes. Had thrown 2 picks coming into today, and had the one that was Mack that had the interception. That was his 6th of the year. It's on this 2nd down. It's Manning with the run. Gets ahead of the 50 and gets into Concordia's territory at their 48 to bring up a 3rd down. Markham for a gain of about 4.
Coming up 3rd and 6 from the Concordia 48.
Rockford only 1 conference win this year. 1-3 in conference play. That conference win came at home against Lakeland College back on October 13th, a couple of weeks ago, as Mackey's got a roll to his right, kind of throwing across his body, being left-handed, as the pass falls incomplete to Ambrosio.
Pass intended for...
So that brings up 4th down.
Will bring up 4th down.
As after this week, the Regents will return home next Saturday for Senior Day when they welcome in one of the best teams in the conference in Concordia, Wisconsin, and then they conclude the season over at Eureka. So after today, the schedule in November is not easy for the Regents, who have to face the 2 top teams in the conference. So off that incompletion, the punting unit out. And a high kick from Galvez, and it takes a favorable bounce in his favor as Berrigan tries to make something out of it, but he's tripped up at his own 8-yard line. And that's where this Cougars offense that has been hot all afternoon will take over at.
Punt by Galvez.
Looks like Sepulveda will be the one getting ready to go back out there. We mentioned we saw Griffin Beaudette, the sophomore, have some time back in the 2nd quarter. So Sepulveda will head back out there again. Lining up at the running back spot here is the freshman Eddie Hopkins. And Hopkins had 91 yards rushing along with 3 rushing touchdowns in the loss last week at Concordia, Wisconsin. And it was kind of a rotating trio of backs we've seen when Lance has been out because of that injury he suffered back on homecoming weekend. Hopkins is going to get his first handoff for the afternoon, and he trots his way for a gain of maybe 1 for 2nd down. Hopkins on the year hasn't seen much action on the field in his first year. Has 3 rushing touchdowns that all came last week. 114 yards on the ground so far this season, averaging just under 7 yards a rush. Hopkins, the 5'9" freshman from Lakeland, Florida. 3 wide receivers left, 1 to the right. As Sepulveda will give this one to Hopkins again. A decent run there on 2nd down to bring up 3rd and manageable. Hopkins in the game last week averaged just under 8 yards a rush. So even in the 11-point defeat on the road, a lot of nice promise being shown from Eddie Hopkins, who doesn't see much action on the field, especially when Lance Moyes is the normal starter. On this 3rd down and 4, Sepulveda to his left, pass is caught, and getting the first down ahead of the 25, and with a stiff arm there, that's Ken Woods.
Pass complete to number 81, Kenneth Woods.
So Woods gets the first down completion.
And that will be a first down.
As he got the stiff arm to gain a few extra yards on top of it. As that'll put him and the Cougars with a new set of downs at their own 32-yard line. 3 wide receivers right, no one to the left. Hopkins in the backfield. And he's going to get the handoff yet again. Hopkins gets to the 45. Or I should say 35.
Hopkins on the carry.
So a gain of 3 to the 35 for 2nd and 7 as we have just over 8 minutes to play in this 3rd quarter.
A gain of 3 on the play will be
As the Cougars have been able to basically do anything at will on offense here today. Two receivers each side. Hopkins at the left hip of Sepulveda, who takes the snap, gives it to Hopkins again. And the ball came out after Hopkins had a couple yards gained, as the Cougars do fall on top of it, though, as recovering that fumble was Aaron Finkel, the sophomore lineman. So a little bit of a scare there, but nevertheless, Cougars will keep the football. It was a loss of only a yard after the fumble. So 3rd down and 7 at the 36. Same formation again. Hopkins at the right hip. Blitz being shown by Rockford. They bring it, and they get to Sepulveda. Helping bring him down there was number 96, Octavio Galvez. Along in there as well
33, Dylan Peterson,
was Dylan Peterson, one of the
they bring down Sepulveda.
defensive backs that came in with pressure, the 5'11 junior. There was a loss there of about 5 on the sack. So the punting unit comes on out. And you've got Jesse Campos back deep to return this punt. Orlando Hayes will punt this one away. Runs a little to his right and gets it. And it takes a favorable Cougars bounce inside the 35, and they'll stop it right at the 28-yard line on the Rockford side of the field. And Hayes, back after the kick, took some contact, and he is favoring his right leg, and that is not good. Hayes, after rolling to his right to make the punt, took some contact accidentally from a defender on the side of the Regents. Didn't see who got it as I was looking downfield where the ball was going, but Hayes down on the south end of the field at about his own 15. As he may also have had a cramp as well. Able to sit up on his own, as the medical staff will attend to him, and he will be able to walk off on his own power and jog this one off. So now for Rockford, down by 31 with 6:14 to play in this 3rd quarter. Ball at their own 28 on this drive now. Mackey out there with 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. LeVar Johnson, the running back. Mackey over the middle, just over the stretched hands of Ambrosio. Got a fingertip on it. Caleb Casey in coverage for the Cougars. Brings up 2nd down.
Shakur Williams on the breakup for the Cougars.
Getting a hand on that one towards the end there was Shakur Williams, the freshman DB from Coral Springs, Florida. Man comes in motion on this 2nd down. And Mackey's going to keep this one himself up the middle as he gets ahead of the 30 to about the 33-yard line for a gain of roughly 5 yards to bring up third down. LeVar Johnson still out there as the running back, the 5'10", 230-pound sophomore.
35 for Rockford from their own 33.
And for Concordia after today, they will hit the road and head to Wisconsin Lutheran next Saturday before returning home to end the regular season against Benedictine University. Mackey pump fakes, throws to his right for Houseladen, and he overthrows it, incomplete, fourth down.
Incomplete, intended for Houseladen. Will be fourth down.
And the note about the next home game we will have to conclude the regular season as the special teams unit comes out for Rockford and Concordia respectively. On the 10th for our final regular season game, it will be a 12 o'clock noon kickoff. Not the usual 1 o'clocks, but a 12 noon kickoff. And we'll have that for you here on the Concordia Cougars Network. Galvez out to punt this one away. As you've got Pinellas and Berrigan to return the punt. And we get a whistle and a timeout has been called on the side of Rockford. That's their first. They have 2 remaining. Cougars still have all 3 of theirs. Again, as we look around the conference as well, since we have a moment, today in Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference play, 2 of the top teams battling it out at Concordia, Wisconsin, who are 4-0 in conference play, 6-1 overall, are hosting the unbeaten Eureka squad that is 7-0 on the season, 4-0 in conference play as well. Benedictine is on the road to take on Lakeland, and Wisconsin Lutheran is on the road against Aurora. 3 teams at 2-2 in the conference, Aurora, Benedictine, and Lakeland. Rockford, as we mentioned, 1-3 in conference. So is Wisconsin Lutheran, who the Cougars will see on their home turf in Wisconsin next weekend. While the Cougars are the only team in the conference now winless in the conference portion of the season. As this high punt from Galvez is fair caught ahead of the 30, and the flag comes out immediately afterwards. I wonder if they're going to get Rockford for illegal contact, as the fair catch had been signaled for. Get the call here in a moment. As the 4 officials get together, let's listen in for Paul Keating.
I think that's an interference. Kicking team, number 22, 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
It was Malik Johnson they got for that penalty. So that'll be the Cougars now moving up ahead 15 yards as they now will have the ball at their own 44-yard line. Sun peeking out here once again at Concordia Stadium. So 1st and 10 with 2 receivers each side. Sepulveda out there with Lance Moyes. The freshman Hopkins got some time in as the running back on the last drive, as they now go back to their workhorse in Moyes, but this time it's a catch to Eric Hoff on the left side, ahead of the 45, tiptoes down the sideline. It's a first down into Rockford territory, and it depends on where he stepped out. They've marked him at the 40-yard line. So a gain of about 16 on the completion. As Eric Hoff, who was a big play threat, hasn't seen the ball come his way that much, but not to say at least today that's been a bad thing, as Pinellas has taken a lot of the targets today out of the receiving corps. Spin move from Moyes. Tries to do another one, but he is met for a loss. As able to help bring him down in the backfield was Malik Johnson. That was a loss there of about 5. Not very often do you see Moyes get taken down to the backfield for a big loss like that.
Loss of 4 on the play will be 2nd and 14 from the...
So they mark it as an official loss of 4 yards to make it 2nd and 14 at the 44. Two receivers each side again. Moyes at the right hip of Sepulveda, who drops back. He's got time. He throws. Pass is caught. That's Berrigan. Stays on his feet for a few extra yards on top of it as he brings it to the 20-yard line. First down, Cougars.
Sepulveda complete to number 8, Robert Berrigan.
And Berrigan will come off now. That's his first catch of the afternoon. First and 10 at the 20 as they get into red zone territory. Hoff and Pinellas are your receivers to the right. Corey Dooley, the receiver, out to the near left. Hopkins, the running back, at the left hip of Sepulveda. And Hopkins is going to get the handoff, but he's going to be met right away by a sea of white jerseys, as bringing him down there in the end was number 52 for the Regents in Bryce Lafette, the freshman from Lafayette, Illinois. Correct myself on the pronunciation. Bryce LaFollette, excuse me. So a 1-yard run there from Hopkins. Brings it 2nd and 9 as we approach 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. As it has been all Cougars all afternoon long. Same formation again. Play clock went down to 3. Hopkins gets a run up the middle. Hopkins gets towards the 10, and that should be enough for a first and goal, and it is. Gain of about 9 on that run to make it first and goal. As the Cougars continue to look to pile it on here against the Regents of Rockford University. Two receivers left. That's Dooley and Hoff. And Pinellas is the lone receiver out to the right. Hopkins in the running back spot on the right hip. Hopkins, with the run to his left, doesn't get anything out of it. May have lost a couple on it to bring him back to the 10 for 2nd and goal.
To Hopkins.
That was Hopkins' first
Loss of 2 on the play.
loss for a run today. He's had 6 carries for 22 yards. 3 receivers out right now. Sepulveda is going to fake the throw. Hopkins gets the run again, and he is met with not much room after the fact, as that was Jalen Bashford, the sophomore linebacker, to bring him down. Bashford, the sophomore, 6 feet, 225-pound linebacker from Fairbury, Illinois. As we approach 1 minute to go in the third. 2 receivers each side now on this 3rd and goal from the 9. Play clock now down to 10. As the Cougars also having that mindset of just taking the time with it, no need to rush anything. Play clock down to 1, and they do not get it off in time. So that'll back them up 5 on this delay of game.
Concordia.
Well, they're actually going to say that they called the timeout before the flag was thrown. So the Cougars weren't able to get much set there, but they were able to get the timeout in before the delay of game penalty had been called. So again, as we mentioned, in the conference today around us, outside of River Forest, you've got the 2 top teams going at it at Concordia, Wisconsin, with Eureka squaring off with them. As the crowd here at Concordia today, in much delight of what they've seen here this afternoon at Concordia Stadium. Also want to give a shout out to our great crew behind the scenes as well. As without them, there is no me. Our producer, Joel Krentz, today, along with Irene Swift on camera, along with Taylor Kalasowitz. So 3rd and goal at the 9. 2 receivers each side. You've got Pinellas and Hoff to the right, Berrigan and Dooley to the left, Hopkins at the left hip in the running back spot is Sepulveda. Play clock now down to 10. Sepulveda looks for somebody in the end zone. He doesn't find anything, and he's going to run it. He takes a big shove out of bounds, as that was Galvez who knocked him out of bounds with some authority. And that'll bring out the field goal unit, and good to see the kicker in Orlando Hayes come out as he took a hard hit after the last punt he had earlier in this quarter. Appeared to have been favoring his right leg, but he appears to be okay, so that's a good sign to see. Beaudette the holder. Hayes out to kick this field goal from about 23 yards out. We have under 30 seconds to go in the third. The kick is up, and it is good. So that makes it a 41-7 lead for the Cougars here at home, looking for their first conference win of the season and looking to snap a 6-game losing streak they've been on since after a win in week 1 against Beloit College in a non-conference battle. And so far today, if we look at the stats side of things, mentioned Beaudette had some time as the quarterback back in the second quarter. And Sepulveda having the duties here in the third. Wouldn't be shocked to see Beaudette come out there in the fourth quarter, possibly. Sepulveda 9 of 12 for 170 yards through the air and a touchdown pass. On the ground, Lance Moyes 16 carries, 128 yards and 2 scores. Sepulveda with his feet running the football, 8 carries, 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the leading receiver, Donas Pinellas, 9 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. So Hayes with the kick. As this one will find Jajuan Joyner. And Joyner gets ahead of steam, and Jajuan Joyner gets past Hayes, and he is going to return this for a Regents touchdown. No flags on the field, and it is 41-13 with the extra point coming up for Rockford. And they get the spark they've been looking for since way back in the first quarter, when they had originally tied the game up at 7. So the Rockford faithful that have made the trip to River Forest today certainly are pleased by that. Cody Kupsik out for the point after. And whistle and the penalty flag comes out. Looks like there may have been some
defense, 12 men on the field, half the distance.
So an illegal substitution, as looks like the guilty party there was Sebastian Yee, who comes off to the sideline. The freshman from Sunnyvale, California. So 41-13, courtesy of the kickoff return for a touchdown from Jajuan Joyner. As this kick is blocked! Eric Hoff! He can do it all, can he? And we will remain at 41-13. So after allowing that kickoff return for a touchdown on special teams, the Cougars do get some redemption for themselves and block the extra point with 12 seconds to play here in this third quarter. Mentioned for Rockford, their lone conference win came back a couple of weeks ago on the road against Lakeland College. As also for them, their only home win of the season was at home against McMurray back on the 1st of September when they won that contest in a non-conference battle 35-12. Kupsik out to kick this one away. You got Hoff and Jones back deep. Up 6 in, he's ready. And it's a short kick to the left side of the Cougars. And receiving this one will be John Correa. As Correa gets ahead of the 30-yard line, much to the delight of the Concordia sidelines. Correa, the freshman from Opelika, Florida, putting on some moves there in the special teams game. Correa, 5'6", 179-pound linebacker listed on our rosters here.
Offsides.
And an offsides call goes against Rockford. That's the second time they've been called against that on special teams when kicking off here today. Tyler Martin's now in as the running back, and the new quarterback, or at least for this quarter, Griffin Beaudette. Saw him back in the second. So Beaudette in, along with Tyler Martins. 2 receivers out right, 1 to the left. As it's Martins to the right side, ahead of the 40. And he gains about 5 to bring up second down. And that will do it for this third quarter of play. So the 4's in the air on the Concordia sideline, as they've had much control of this contest all afternoon here at Concordia Stadium, as they go into the fourth quarter with a 41-13 lead, as they look for their first victory since September 1st. So far today, Sepulveda, we mentioned 9 of 12 for 170 yards and a score. Beaudette, a perfect 6 for 6 with 56 yards completed. Lance Moyes is always the story with the running game when he's playing. 16 carries, 128 yards, and 2 scores. Sepulveda, the freshman quarterback, who has seen most of the time here under center, 8 carries, 43 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Eddie Hopkins, the running back, who scored 3 touchdowns rushing for a loss last week against Concordia, Wisconsin, today has 8 carries for 21 yards. I mentioned the leading receiver by a wide margin is Dinas Pinellas, the freshman, 9 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown, which was an 80-yard completion for a score. So now the Cougars going left to right, Rockford right to left, as we begin this fourth quarter of action here at Concordia Stadium. Martins will get the run on second down, and Martins gets ahead at the 50, and towards the 49 he will fall for a Cougars first down.
And he's across the 50, and he picks up the first down for the Cougars.
So a new set of downs as they move the chains. It's the first time that the Cougars have scored 40 or more points since September 15th in a home loss to Albion College, in which they scored 42, but giving up 57 in that loss. That's the most points they've scored in the season was in that game, as a flag comes out on this first down run.
There is a flag on the play.
This is if the score is to hold, this will be the second lowest they've held an opponent to, as when they won against Beloit College, they allowed 10. As we get a holding call that goes against the Cougars.
First down.
So more often than not, it hasn't really been the offense that hasn't been able to get going in games. It's been more so, can the defense hold its own? And so far today, the answer to that question has been yes. Of course, 2 more games still to be completed in the season after today. At Wisconsin Lutheran next Saturday, and then on the 10th to conclude the regular season at home against Benedictine for a noon kickoff. Beaudette rolls to his right. He's going to keep it as he gets back towards the 47-yard line for a gain of 7 to make it 2nd and 13. And Beaudette on the season completed just under 47% of his passes with 3 touchdown throws, 687 yards through the air, while also throwing 5 interceptions, as he had a couple last week in that loss on the road. As Beaudette also not unfamiliar with running the football, as Martins gets the handoff here on second down, but he is met immediately by the front 7 of Rockford. As getting the stop there on defense was Jalen Bashford. Brings up 3rd and long. For Beaudette in the running game is finishing up that point. He's got 40 carries for 171 yards as a total gain, 76 as a loss, so a total of 95 in the net department. His longest run was for 15 yards. And if I'm looking at that correctly, I believe that came back in a loss at Lakeland. So 3rd and 14 on their own 47. They need to get to the Rockford 39 to convert. 3 receivers left as Beaudette has got time in the pocket. He is hit from behind, and the pass is up ahead for Corey Dooley, but it falls incomplete for 4th down. As Beaudette took a hard hit, as helping get pressure there for Rockford was Bashford again, and the punting unit will come on out. So for Concordia, a team that in the last home match against Eureka were convincingly overdrawn in every facet of the game when they lost at home against Eureka 44-15 a couple of weeks ago. We're rewriting the script today, and this one hits off of Saul Dominguez, number 41, who is going back to stop any return from happening, but it inadvertently hit his shoulder pads, and it took a favorable Rockford bounce. So that puts now Rockford to have this drive start at the 25-yard line, as we have just under 13 minutes to play in regulation.
His punt was ruled down at the 25-yard line.
It'll be a direct snap here, as in at the quarterback spot in this case is Brandon Houseladen. We've seen this play happen before back in the first half, and is on the option. He tosses to the right for Chance Manning, who on the far side gets maybe a yard or 2 on it to bring up 2nd down. Mackey now back in as the quarterback. Again, we saw in the first quarter getting the start today, Delano Mack. And Mack's efforts today, pull up the stats here on him. Mack was 5 of 10 for 36 yards. And they made the switch to go back to Mackey, who got the start last week at home against Aurora.
Number 43, Ambrosio.
As Adam Ambrosio gets about 12 for a 1st down completion. Or I should say, gets the 2nd down completion for 1st down. As the ball is now up at the 38. So we now approach 12 minutes to go. Mackey fakes the handoff to LeVar Johnson as he airs it downfield, and it is Houseladen with the catch as he goes deep into Cougars territory. Although the ball came out, but it's going to be ruled an interception. Caleb Casey, that's his 2nd of the day, as Houseladen, who was going down, essentially, Casey came away and just took it out of his hands saying, "No, sir, that's mine. Give it back."
A fumble recovered by the Cougars, number 5.
So they call it a fumble as Houseladen, who was going down to the ground, lost control of it after he completed the process of the catch. A wild play, to say the least. As Houseladen, who, after making the catch, looked to turn around to see if he could find more yardage and get into red zone territory, lost the football, and Caleb Casey fell on it. So the Cougars will start now on their own 20, just like that, as Beaudette will hand this one off to Hopkins on the left side, and Hopkins is going to be met for minimal gain. But what a great play there from Caleb Casey, the junior from Ocala, Florida. So 2nd and 10 off the no gain off the run from the freshman Eddie Hopkins.
No gain on play, 2nd and 10.
We approach 11 minutes to go. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left. Beaudette will give it to Hopkins again on the left side, who will get taken down by Bashford, who's had quite the second half for Rockford, racking up the tackles. He gained about 5 there, did Hopkins, to bring up 3rd down. So with the ball at the 25.
Gains out to the 25-yard
Let's
line.
imagine it'd probably be the end of the day for Lance Moyes, as he's been the big story. 2 rushing touchdowns on the day, over 100 yards on the ground yet again. And his return to action as Beaudette bobbles the snap. He's going to run with it. He loses the football. Ball's alive. Cougars fall on top of it, it looked like at first. And we'll see how they mark it. As it'll be 4th down nevertheless, and the punting unit comes out for the Cougars. As Beaudette, who was kind of in a big scramble mode after he kind of lost the
Fumble on the play.
eye of the ball after the snap. I don't know if he was looking at the center who was going to snap it to him once the ball was snapped, but he was able to recover and then try to run with it, but did lose it for a brief moment as Hayes' kick to the right isn't a very deep one, but it will take a Cougars roll, and they'll stop it right at the 48-yard line. As trying to give it a little extra wind there was Brandon Lucas. If we can get that as a highlight reel of the day in terms of how to make the football move farther, that's the way to do it. They need to teach that in the youth developmental programs.
Rockford, 49-yard line where the Regents will.
So nicely done there to maybe give it another yard back and officially put it in Rockford territory as the crowd below us is starting to mock that movement. So it's 1st and 10 for Rockford at the 49. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it for sure, folks. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. As Mackey throws over the middle in tight coverage, incomplete. He was looking for Kalen Miller. Brings up 2nd down.
Intended for number 18, Kalen Miller. Broken up by Demetrius Rufus.
Rufus was the one in coverage there.
2nd down from the 49.
So 2nd down from the 49 with 9:49 to go. Threw our receivers out to the right, 1 to the left. That's the favorable tight end Ambrosio. As on the screen, it's Lucas who gets taken down from behind for a gain of about 9.
Number 20, Leon Joyce.
So 3rd and 1. So we now have under 9.5 to go. Two wide receivers left, 1 to the right. Mackey is going to give it to Johnson, who's got a big hole after the fact, getting the 1st down as he takes it deeper into Cougars territory. LeVar Johnson with the 1st down and much more.
28, LeVar Johnson Jr. on the carry.
LeVar Johnson, that's only his 4th carry of the afternoon, as it's been Chance Manning that has sent most of the running back duties today. Cougars show blitz here as Manning's going to get the handoff to the right side, and Manning gets around a defender, and he is close to another 1st down, and they will be moving the chains once again. So a new set of downs now at the Cougars 27 with under 9 minutes to go. Mackey in the shotgun. 2 wide receivers left, 1 to the right. And this one is Johnson again on the run. Johnson spins his way ahead towards the 10.
Johnson on the carry.
And a nice 1st down run there for LeVar Johnson,
And Casey.
the sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee. Gain of 6 on the run as we approach 8 minutes to go. 2nd and 4 now from the 10-yard line. Two wide receivers left, 1 to the right. Johnson at the left hip of the quarterback, Eric Mackey. Mackey throws to his left for Ambrosio, and able to bring him down in coverage was Caleb Casey. Caleb Casey's been all over the football today defensively.
That's complete to Ambrosio.
So it brings up third down. It was only a gain of about maybe 2 on the completion to bring up third down at the 8-yard line.
The Regents.
So the ball in the near left hash. 1 receiver out to each side. Mackey under center. 10 on the play clock now. As Johnson's going to get the handoff. He goes up the middle, and he's close. Depends on where they spot it. They may mark him short, and that's what the initial signal is going to be. So they mark him a yard short. They got him at the 7.
Elbow. It will be 4th and 1 for Rockford.
So 4th and 1, Rockford going for it. And why not at this stage of the ball game, as Mackey is going to keep it himself, and he keeps it for a sizable run to the 1-yard line. Make it 1st and goal. He was only looking for 1, but he may have gotten an unexpected push that he wasn't even looking for. So now it'll be 1st and goal at the 1 with under 6.5 minutes to play.
Salmon on the tackle.
So we'll see how the
Goal for Rockford at the 1-yard line.
Regents want to draw it up here as we approach 6 minutes to go here in the 4th, 41-13 Cougars. 2 receivers to the near left, 2 to the right. Manning at the left hip of Mackey as a man goes in motion. That's Houseladen. Mackey is going to toss it to Manning on the option, and he's met in the backfield for a loss. That's Casey again. Caleb Casey have a day in the backfield. He's been able to get back there with little difficulty. As for Caleb Casey, that's his 10th tackle that leads the team today. Also has that fumble recovery that happened earlier on the previous drive for Rockford. And the handoff will go to Manning. And Manning is stopped for maybe a yard or 2. Brings up 3rd and goal. There's a loss of 5 there on the Caleb Casey stop a few plays ago.
And it gets to the 4-yard line where it will be 3rd and goal.
So it was a gain of 2 on that 2nd and goal run as we now have 5 minutes to go. 2 wide receivers right, 1 to the left. Mackey in the shotgun. Throws to the right, incomplete. He overthrew his intended target, and Brandon Houseladen, the sophomore, brings up 4th down. Offense going to stay out there once again for it. Down 41-13 with under 5 minutes to go.
4th down coming up, 4th and goal from the 4.
So 4th and goal, play clock down to 10. Each team with 2 timeouts here remaining. 1 receiver to each side, Manning at the left hip. Not much was on the play clock as it was winding down. And Rockford calls a timeout right before the snap takes place.
Rockford, the second charge timeout.
So Rockford calls their 2nd timeout. So they have 1 remaining while the Cougars still have 2 of theirs. Can we mention looking ahead at the Cougars' schedule the final 2 weeks of the season? They'll be hitting the road and heading up to Milwaukee to take on Wisconsin Lutheran College next Saturday. And then they will return home for a special noon kickoff on Senior Day here on the 10th against Benedictine, and we'll have that for you for that noon kickoff here on the Concordia Cougars Network. Again, thanks for joining us on this Saturday afternoon from Concordia Stadium. Again, I want to shout out our great crew in the background helping us make the sights and sounds look as great as they are. Joel Krentz, our producer for today, and our camera crew, Taylor Kalasowitz and Irene Swift, and along with the great work, the SID's CJ Selner as well. So 4th and goal from the 4. Houseladen as the quarterback spot to take this direct snap. And he's going to jump throw to the end zone, and it falls incomplete. He was looking for Ambrosio, but he can't get a flag either. So it'll be a turnover on downs, and that's where the Cougars will take over with 4:50 to go.
And the Cougars will take over on down.
So this Cougars defense has went from night to day in just a week. After giving up 45 against Concordia, Wisconsin on the road last week, they come back home and have only allowed 13. One of them was only one offensive score. The other was a kickoff for a touchdown. Also have a point after attempt that was blocked and a few fumble recoveries on top of it. As Sepulveda, who's back in at the quarterback spot, hands it off to the sophomore Tyler Martins. Gains maybe a yard to bring up second down. And again, Concordia, no need to rush anything with a tempo here, just trying to drain out the clock. Up by 28. Also in now at the receiver spot is number 84 in Will Carlson, the freshman tight end. As we approach 4 minutes to go, play clock now down to 7, and Cougars now get set at the line. 2 wide receivers left, 1 to the right, as Sepulveda will take the snap, and Martins will go to the right side for it. As Martins, he looked like he may have stayed on his feet there for a moment. He tried to make it look like it, but his knee was down. As it should be third down and...
Martins on the carry.
Well, I should say they're actually going to give him a first down. The Chains were a little confused on the far side of the field as to what the spot was going to be. But a new set of downs for the Cougars. As on that 2nd and 9, Martins got enough for a gain of 9 to make it 1st and 10 from their own 14. Clock will continue to run as Martins wasn't out of bounds. Play clock goes down to 2 as Martins will get the handoff yet again. Cuts back towards the middle, and he will fall forward ahead of the 20. Good second effort from the sophomore as he gets stopped at the 21-yard line for a gain of about 7. As it has been a very impressive performance from the Concordia Cougars this afternoon. Everyone having a great time here at Concordia Stadium today. Kids throwing the football around as well on the lower concourse here. Perhaps future Concordia football players in the making in the crowd today. As Sepulveda will hand this one off to Hopkins. Eddie Hopkins, the freshman, back in. Spins out of a tackle to the left side. Gains maybe a yard to bring up third down as we approach 2.5 to go. I want to thank everybody for joining us again on this brisk fall Saturday afternoon from Concordia Stadium here in River Forest. And we got one more regular season broadcast for you when Benedictine comes to town on November 10th for a noon kickoff. We'll have that action for you right here at Concordia Stadium for that on the 10th. So make sure you stick around for that one. 3rd down and 2 from the 22. There's now 2 minutes to go. Play clock down to 2 again as Sepulveda gets it up the middle. It would be a first down run, but the flag came out right as the snap was given, as this one may be an illegal motion move against the Cougars.
Illegal shift, 2 men in motion, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So that is the call. So that'll back it up now to 3rd and 7 from the 17-yard line. Three wide receivers, I should say 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Martins in the backfield with the freshman quarterback Jordan Sepulveda. Is on this 3rd down and 7. Sepulveda checking everything at the line. 1 man in motion to the left side as Martins is going to get the handoff on 3rd and 7. And Tyler Martins had the first down before the flag, and after it, he still gets it. First down, Cougars. Clock will still wind as the Cougars are feeling it, as they are about 90 seconds away from their first victory since September 1st when they defeated Beloit College 36-10. They've lost 6 in a row since then, as it's been quite a while since they've had this kind of feeling after a game on a Saturday afternoon. Another run there for the running back who's now in Matt Pizzana, the 5'6" junior, getting the snap in. As we now have under a minute to go, as the sidelines were going crazy for Matt Pizzana to come on into the game. The 5'6" running back is locally from here in Chicago, a product of Bishop Noel Institute. As Moyes and Martins now will be the backs in. As we have now down to 10 on the play clock. As it looks like it'll just be a victory formation, or it was going to be. But they quickly get back to the line, though, and Sepulveda will just take a knee. As that should be the final play, as we have under 20 seconds to go, and it will be. So for the first time since September 1st, we can now say it. Cougars win. A 41-13 dominant performance against the Regents of Rockford University.
41, Rockford Regents 13.
So the Cougars get their first conference win of the season. So they go to 1-4, 2-6 in conference play. Well, Rockford will fall to 1-4 and 2-6 overall in the season, 1-4 in conference play. Again, the Cougars hit the road to take on Wisconsin Lutheran College next Saturday, and then return home for the final game of the season for a 12 o'clock noon kickoff when they welcome Benedictine to town. Meanwhile, for the Regents of Rockford University, they will head home to take on Concordia, Wisconsin on the 3rd, and then they will hit the road to conclude the regular season against Eureka on the 10th. Give you the final stat lines here on the day with the Cougars. Sepulveda 9 of 12, 170 yards through the air on a touchdown pass. And in the running game for him, he had 8 carries for 43 yards. Lance Moyes, the star running back, 16 carries, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Leading receiver Dinas Pinellas with 9 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. Caleb Casey led the way in tackles with 10, including a tackle for a loss and a fumble recovery. Meanwhile, for the side of the Regents, Mackey 11 of 20 through the air with 151 yards. Mack 5 of 10, 36 yards. And in the running game, Chance Manning 17 carries, 81 yards. And the one back that got the touchdown was LeVar Johnson for 6 carries, 27 yards, and a score. Again, final score, Cougars 41, Regents 13. Thanks to everybody from our crew behind the scenes. I'm Ryan Fay signing off. This has been Concordia Cougars football on the Concordia Cougars Network. We'll see you September 10th. So long.